Okay, hey, we're into another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today, I have a really cool review for you from the brand MONTREUX. So they're essentially new, of course, to the watch strap game, but I have to say I've been very, very impressed thus far. Big shout out to MONTREUX for sending a bit of a sample in terms of some products to share with you guys, as well as even a little bit of swag there. As you guys can see, there's a little coffee mug. But a little bit about the brand. They were conceptualized and engineered by true watch nerds with the goal of creating the best wearing watch strap on the market. Their straps are supple, soft, and pliable, and they're engineered to be up to 50% thinner than most straps found on the market. And that's something that really stood out for me. Their goal is to really create that level of superior comfort and wearability. And I have to say, they had a really interesting approach to that. Now, in terms of some highlights, of course, these are constructed out of premium FKM rubber, specifically engineered for active lifestyles, focusing on wear, durability, and aesthetics. You can get these for $49 each, and you do get free shipping within the USA. So with that said, as you guys can see, I also have this on my Glycine Airman 18, and I've had this watch on a lot of different straps to include some FKM straps. And I will say that this particular FKM strap impressed me a lot just because it was actually a lot different than most straps. Well, I will say there's a lot of kind of affordable FKM straps, and then of course there are some high-end ones. A lot of the affordable ones tend to be kind of I guess you could say like a copy of another strap, whereas this strap actually did something different. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, again, big cheers and shout out to MONTREUX for sending these in. You guys can see I got 3 straps. One of them, of course, is already mounted here, as you guys can see, and I think it's a beautiful pair. Of course, this dial and even the bezel layout, one of the benefits is that you do have a couple different tones of blue going on, but I will say that this really does a great job of kind of blending in. Now, on the top side, it might seem a little familiar. You do have almost that kind of 3-link oyster style kind of pattern with this raised center section, and then even having a little bit of extra beveling, as you can see on the holes themselves. And you'll also see nice keepers. None of them are fixed, so there's no set space for any of these. You can basically slide them to where you need them. Nicely signed in terms of the tang buckle, fully milled. Even the finger there is milled. But here's the difference, guys. Check that out. Look at the thinness, the pliability here. It is pretty unmatched. And as you can see underneath, nicely signed. So you do also get a bit of space here where it's actually kind of hollowed out, a little cup there to help keep there be a little bit more, off of your wrists so that it can breathe really nicely. And in this case, if you have a watch with, of course, with a display case back, one of the nice things is when you are using a 2-piece strap versus, let's say, a single strap that's going to be running underneath the case, is that you can enjoy the look of the movement. So really nice. Of course, you're getting quick release spring bars, which isn't for everyone's tastes, but I will say that they do work quite functionally in this use case, so I don't mind them at all. So let's actually see some other pieces that do make this quite different. I think this one, oh, here we go, check it out. So you do have, go ahead and, whoa, dropped it there. You do have actually a little bit of a magnetic snap kind of closure there, which is nice. So if when you do purchase this, the opening experience is nice. Storage, if you do want to put it back in there, or let's say you just want to give it as a gift, I think presentation wise this is actually quite nice, very sharp. You can see here a model done in all white, so very nice, very true white. This isn't an off-white. very clean, and it'll help you guys get, again, just another look at this in terms of that thinness, in terms of that taper, whether it be tapering from the lug down to the buckle, or tapering again from the lug down to the buckle, just on another axis. So a little bit about the specific specs. Of course, I had them run across the screen, but in case you missed them, 17.5 millimeters. That is in terms of the taper down. So these are 20 millimeters at the lug, then 17.5 down by the buckle, which of course for the tail end that feeds into the buckle, so it would be the same. And then you're getting a 4 millimeter thickness here up on the higher end where it's thicker. Then on the bottoms, it's going to taper down to a very nice 2 millimeters. So very, very manageable, very thin. I know that might not be for everybody. I mean, I'm big on comfort, but there are a lot of folks that do prefer sometimes things to feel a little bit overbuilt. So for those of you that are more into, like, let's say an iso frame versus a tropic, you might still want something on that side that's feels overbuilt and robust. The nice thing here is for those of you that don't need something that feels overbuilt, you're going to get something that's actually just really beautifully dialed in terms of that thinness. And then in terms of the lengths, I think they did a nice job picking some universal sizes. So on this end here, on the buckle side, it is going to be a little bit shorter at 75 millimeters. Then on the long end, you're going to get 125. So not bad at all. I think a lot of the times the norm will be about 80 and 120. So this actually evens out. So this is going to be pretty standard in terms of its fit on the wrist for many of the people who wear it. Of course, you're going to have a lot of different options, 5 different color options: black, blue, orange, red, or white, as seen here, blue seen there. Let's see what other colors we might have here to look at. One of these is going to be empty because it's the one that the blue one came in, and it's not this one, orange. My goodness, who doesn't love a good orange strap, guys? Wow, very, very handsome. I like this color. It's very, very rich and vibrant, perfect for the summer. And the nice thing is, with those quick release spring bars, and then of course the very versatile style here, it's just gonna blend with so many different options, whether it be a dive watch, adventure watch, GMT, explorer style, the list could go on and on. Something like this can bring a lot of fun and a lot of pop and really make the watch feel very, very different just based off of the color. And then of course the build quality itself does help as well. So actually, let's leave these out in case some of you guys are really just like wanting to see that. Here, of course, empty, because this is the one that the blue one came in, but just to double check. But why not get this on the wrist? Oh, one thing also, guys, some of you, I know it's a big deal, the vanilla scent. How potent is it? There's no vanilla scent here, guys. I was very surprised. It kind of smells like nothing. So for those of you that can be sensitive to different types of scents or smells, hey, that's something that's a big bonus. Let's go ahead and get this on my 7.5-inch wrist. And of course, although my wrist is on the larger side, it's actually quite round, so it's not like super flat and wide. So I actually still, in terms of having to navigate watches that fit my wrist well, even though I have a larger wrist, I can still have some, silhouettes that'll overwhelm. But you can see this is fantastic. Look how thin that is and how it drapes and wraps. Nice and tidy, not a lot underneath, even doubled up, right? Because you are going to get the combination of these two pieces laying on each other, right? So 2 millimeters on 2 millimeters ends up being 4. So that's just beautiful in terms of just giving you an even feel, a nice balanced feel on the wrist. So we'll go ahead, kind of scoot these off and check that out, guys. Ooh. Yes, that is quite nice. Of course, if I get my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, you're going to get some perspective distortion. It's going to seem a bit larger. But to get a better look, let's go ahead and just leave my wrist nice and low and just bring in the frame a bit so you guys can see a nice detailed look while also keeping a truer aspect ratio. So Really nice, guys. Very comfortable, very, very pliable. Great details, as you guys can see. There's not mold lines on the side. Like, they definitely went to a higher level here, guys, that you would expect from more expensive straps, right? 50 bucks. It's not cheap, not quite expensive. I think it's right there in the middle of the market. There are straps that are 100 plus. There are straps that are under 50, and then there's straps that are around 50, right? And there's a large group right now that probably sell these similar, right? Not the same, but these, let's say, spec wise on paper, some that can be similar to these within the $20 to $30 range using FKM rubber. But I will say the design on here really makes a difference in terms of that thinness, also in terms of the sharpness of that execution, where you're going to be having, of course, just lack of the mold lines or anything like that that might cheapen the aesthetic. Look at how smooth this is from the side. Now, I have some more expensive straps where I can still see faint mold lines, and you know what, I give them props for being faint. You can see a faint little mold line right there on the keeper on both sides, right? Something like that. Typically you would see that running along the side here, but my goodness, you don't, right? You see maybe a hint up by the lug. Check that. You got to search for it. So I'm impressed by that. I'm impressed that you have to search for that, and that it just looks so darn nice on its own. So very, very cool. And again, they did send these straps in. There wasn't any type of agreement like, oh, I had to speak about anything, or, you know, it's basically just they wanted me to check them out. I had them in the queue for a while. These have been sitting around the office while I've been working on other items. I'm happy to circle back and share them with you guys. Of course, it doesn't matter how certain products make it, you know, into my queue at the end of the day. You know, my feedback, you know, there's no editorial, precedence given to anybody. I don't preview stuff for them, whatever. I could have found these to be, you know, not the greatest, and they would have been fine with that. So cheers to them, because not every brand's like that. I will say there have been a lot of brands that will pretty much send you anything as long as you preview stuff for them first, or, you know, you have whatever type of deal. And I just don't do that on my channel. I'd much rather do it, very honest, very organic. And if they do want to pay some type of fee for some specifics, then of course, then I'm just be more transparent about it. I'll let them do a sponsored segment versus, you know, it's be kind of weird to sponsor their own review. So they did send these in, but again, I don't really consider this any level of sponsorship. People send stuff in. And if they had any special requests, that might be, I might consider it something sponsored. But since I just get to do what I do, just like somebody who's reviewing a phone or a car, they just share their thoughts. I feel like there is definitely that kind of idea within the watch review space. There's a lot of folks that have turned this into a very lucrative business of just kind of reviewing anything and everything that comes across their desk or within their email inbox. And, unfortunately with that, comes a bit more of, the less fun stuff, right? I just want to share the stuff that I like with you guys. And if when I got these, I didn't like them, I would have just told them like, hey, I don't really like these. Not really my bag. I'm happy to send them back. But I don't think it'd be a good idea for me to feature, just because here are the reasons. And maybe once you fix these, I could feature them, because again, I'm somebody who would rather focus on the positives. And I think here there's definitely plenty of positives in terms of, again, that thinness, something different that we haven't seen. Very smooth, very versatile in terms of the aesthetic, guys. Fits beautifully on this watch, which is a bit of a wild watch in itself, right? It kind of, although it's a traveler's watch, it's also, a pilot's watch, also has 200 meters of water resistance, rotating bezel, has a very diver aesthetic, the color blue, right? So it already is a myriad of different looks going on, and it fits with this. So that just tells you that, of course, more minimalist, more classically designed wristwatch watches are also going to look fantastic on a strap like this. This white, very impressive. I'm impressed with how white they're able to get it. Look at it over the box, guys. You know, maybe not quite as white as that, but man, it gets close. So that is definitely something that is very impressive to me, guys. So with that, let me know what you all think in the comments below. Yeah, you know, I like to find new stuff. If there's any brands you guys want me to take a look at, definitely let me know. I will say again, for me, the closing thoughts on here is again, no overly potent vanilla smell. Very, very comfortable, and these do feel premium, although not flashy. And while $50 isn't cheap for a strap, again, it's far from some of the more expensive options that are out there. So I think that's cool. These are pretty easy to find. Looks like you can get them on Amazon. So I have Amazon Prime. If I was going to order more of these, I could just get them with that free 2-day shipping, which I think is a bonus. So yeah, 20 millimeters. It's a great size. Of course, not every watch is 20 millimeters, but I think the types of watches that would really feed into this in terms of this look, 20 millimeters works really well. 22, we'll see. That's typically, you know, something that eventually happens, but with how thin these are, maybe a 22 might be too thick. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Like, would you like to see something this thin on something as thick as, let's say, a Seiko Turtle or, you know, SKX? Or, you know, maybe they just kind of stick to the 20 millimeter space. I think there's definitely room for these within the 19 millimeter and 18, because they are so thin, they can really suit dressier watches as well. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.